Hey, all right, we're going to read from the Fifth Sacred Thing, chapter 12, I believe we're on. Um, no, chapter 11? No, chapter 12. When Madrone, it was from the previous chapter was Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Reaper, and they were honoring all their ancestors, and then they all went into trance, and Madrone was pretty much given a vision that she's going to the Southlands. All right. So this is chapter 12. And I'm sorry the lighting is so bad for the laptop, but the important thing is you can hear my voice. Let's see here. I thought if I maybe put it down, I'll tilt it a little, the glare wouldn't be so bad. Let's see. Might be a little better. Okay. The Healers' Council met in a small conference room at the hospital. The walls were decorated with colorful murals. Herbs grew in pots under the window, but the room still looked like what it was, a square box, product of the sterile architecture of the past century. Madrone sighed and helped herself to a muffin from the plate on the low table in the center of the room. Bird had been speaking, telling the story of his journeys in the Southlands. Sam and the others had quizzed him thoroughly on everything he knew about the epidemics and their origins, which wasn't much. Today's meeting was unusually crowded. 15 or 20 people crammed onto couches or sprawled on the floor. Now they were all silent, considering. The web asked for a healer, Bird said. They need help. The stewards control the antidotes and the boosters, and without them people die. I wish I could get a look at one of their boosters in my lab, said a slim woman wearing a dragon-embossed robe of a style popular on the north side of the city. We all wish that, Sam said. The question is it worth taking somebody's life is it worth risking somebody's life to go down there and try to bring some back? They need a healer, Bird said again. I'm willing to go, but I'm not one. Sam looked at him, frowned, and turned away in silent dismissal. Fuck you, Bird wanted to say. I'm no cripple. I can do whatever I need to do. But he held his tongue. Do we owe them anything? Lou asked. I do, Bird said firmly. I think we do, Sam said slowly. First, out of simple humanity, and strategically, there's no better deterrent to foreign wars than rebellion at home. If the stewards are tied up fighting in the Southlands, that might keep them from invading us, or lessen their forces if they do come. But who could we send? Aviva asked. Someone who could work with the supplies and the resources the hill people have, Sam said. Which are? Lou asked. Pretty much nothing as far as I could tell, Bird said reluctantly. They don't need a doctor so much as a miracle worker, a shaman who can cure with her or his hands alone. Nobody looked at Madrone. They all stared down at the rug or picked apart the remains of their muffins. I don't want to go, Madrone said. I'm not crazy. I want to stay here, where I'm useful and needed. You have every right to have that choice, Sam said. But I will go, she went on. If you all think I should, I'm willing to go. It comes into my visions and my dreams at night. Maybe I'm meant to go. No, Lourdes and Aviva exclaimed together. Sam turned to look at her, the lines in his face deepening. It seems a waste, he said. Are you well enough? Lou asked. Not today, Madrone admitted, but in another couple of weeks, before Yule. Anyway, honestly, Lou, I'm not overestimating my strength. I could come back to work now, but for hiking down the coast and facing what comes after, I'd need a bit of time to get in shape and prepare. Sam turned to the woman in the dragon robe. Do you have anyone on the north side who might be willing to go? She shook her head. We have many specialists, and our reach on chi mapping is very advanced. But we must have equipment to heal, herbs and pharmaceuticals and facilities to sterilize our acupuncture needles. True psychic healers are scarce, and of those on our team, 3 of them are in their 60s and 1 is blind. I can't see any of them making that journey. Same on the west side, a man said. I don't like this, Sam said. I don't like it either, Madrone said, but even less do I like the thought of weathering more and more epidemics until we're so weak the stewardship troops can just march in and pick us off. If there's a chance of preventing that, it seems worth taking. I especially don't like you going alone, Sam went on. Maybe Defense has someone they could send with you. I'll go with her, Bird said. I know the way. Sam expelled a long breath through his teeth. Bird, I've already told you this once. You've sustained severe damage. Much of it is correctable, with some surgery and a lot of physical therapy, if you start soon. If you don't, if you continue to stress the tendons and ligaments, you're going to get worse. There's no question of you going back to the Southlands at this time. Bird's mouth was set in a grim line, but he didn't answer. Madrone spoke up quickly. I might only go as far as the monsters down by Slowtown. That should be relatively safe. I can help them out, train some of their people, and maybe they can get me some samples of the boosters. With luck, I'll be back in a month or 2. Goddess go with you, Aviva murmured. I don't like it, Sam repeated. What does it mean to become a dreamer? Madrone asked. She was sitting with Lily at the little table in the clearing outside the House of the Nine. They were drinking some strange, astringent tea out of a round black pot. The tea left her tongue feeling stripped and dry, but the colors of the day seemed brighter and more clear. There is this world of physical form, Lily said, what we know and can touch. And there are the realms of the chi world, realms of energies and spirits that infuse and underline the physical. The division between the worlds is never absolute. Anyways, there is a bleed through. So a dreamer stands on the boundary. Did you know the German word for witch, Hexe, comes from Hagebutsu, she who sits on the hedge? Actually, I did know that, Madrone said. I read it in one of Maya's books. She drummed her fingers restlessly on the table edge. Maybe Lily could not tell her what she needed to know. Will I live or die? In an ordinary dream, the spirit world speaks to us, but a dreamer can speak back, can make shapes and can make shapes and patterns in that world, and later take form in this. So, is this what my dreams are doing? Is that what I did when I was so sick? There are many different ways to dream. Some do it at night, with their eyes closed. Some open-eyed in the light of day. Some, like Maya, tell stories that become the dreams of many. I have 2 sets of dreams, Madrone said. Often I still dream that I am seeing patients and healing people. I wake up tired from those, but I have other dreams now. Dreams of a dry landscape and clouds of dust and thirst, terrible thirst. In those dreams, I'm always trying to find water or to bring water to someone, and then I awake. Lily examined her tea, favoring Madrone with only the briefest of glances. The journey to the Southland is not an easy one, but you have to come to the point where you need to gather power, and that is never easy. So this is your challenge, to bring healing to the sick, to bring water to the dry lands. Is it, Lily? I don't know what to do. I want to go, and I'm afraid to go. I'm afraid to be hurt like Bird's been hurt, and I'm afraid of other things. Things I can't name or see clearly. Can learning to be a dreamer help me overcome those fears? Lily rose. Come, child. I cannot answer those questions for you. I can only give you a few tools to work with. Madrone followed her through the doorway of the roundhouse and down a spiral staircase that seemed to lead straight underground. The air was cool and dark. After a while, Lily led her through a low archway into a vaulted hall lined with doors on either side. She opened one, and Madrone followed her into a round, dark room. A candle cast a warm glow over the whitewashed walls. Underfoot was soft carpeting. "Lie down," Lily said. Madrone obeyed, letting her body sink into the rug, closing her eyes. "Now," Lily said, "here is the breathing pattern for lucid dreaming." She led Madrone through a series of meditations, monitoring her breath, moving her hands through Madrone's aura, weaving new patterns with the energy. Madrone was asleep, but not asleep. Flying. "I am free now," she thought. "I can go anywhere, anywhere I want. I want to go home." A child's voice within her cried. She was rushing on the wind, south, always south, far past the very dry lands of Southlands of California, over the deserts and high plateaus of Mexico, south toward the tiny country of Guadalupe, sandwiched between Nicaragua and El Salvador, where a small whitewashed house stood beside a dusty road, its door ripped from its hinges. "No!" Madrone sat bolt upright, sweating and shouting. Lily looked at her in alarm. "What's wrong?" Madrone shivered. "Lily, I don't think I can do this." "Where did you go?" "I started to go home, the home I was born in, down in Guadalupe, the home where my mother died. I don't want to see that, Lily. Is that what I have to do to be a dreamer?" "What you have to do first is learn control," Lily said in a calm voice. "Although it's true that a strong dreamer must not fear to face anything the mind can hold. But I do fear. I can't help it." "Where there's fear, there is power," Lily said. "I'm not sure I want power," Madrone said. "Sometimes it seems like I already have too much. It weighs me down." "But what you want is not the issue here. Power has chosen you to be its instrument. Would you refuse it? Refuse your own vision?" Madrone fought for a moment to slow her breathing. Her heartbeat steadied. "You know the answer to that," she said. "All right. Better put me down into trance so I can try again. Now, before I lose my nerve." Madrone prepared to go. She sorted through Black Dragon's 60-year accumulation of camping gear, picking out what she might need and assembling her pack. She harvested the herb gardens, replenished medicines, and made herself a compact kit to take away. She distilled a 6-month supply of violet leaf tincture for Sister Marie's cancer. Almost daily she went to the island in the lake to meet with Lily and practice her dreaming. She went with Maya to council to sit beside Bird as he told the city what he had seen in the Southlands and alerted them to the possibility of war. In the ensuing debate, she kept silent about her plans to go south. Lily had advised her not to broadcast her intentions. Every day Madrone took long walks to strengthen herself. She studied old maps until she clearly had them memorized. But each attempt she made to go over routes and plans with Bird ended in a fight. Bird was a haunted man. He was haunted by the anticipated silence of the house without Madrone's presence, and by visions of things happening to her so horrible he could not allow them to reach more than the edges of his mind. As a result, he went around staring into corners, fearing what waited to pounce from the periphery of his vision. He knew that he had to go with her. Over and over again she told him no, but she found no one else to take his place. The council could not spare a second healer. Sage Anita and Holy Bear were engaged in work vital to toxics that could not be abandoned, and there was nobody else she knew and trusted well enough to take to mortal danger. So Bird continued in his stubborn determination to accompany her himself. The alternative was unbearable, far easier to bear the physical pain of the journey than the fear and helplessness of staying behind. He practiced by ignoring the considerable pain he was in continuously, as overstressed muscles and ligaments rebelled and went into spasm. He never complained, and he tried hard to hide it, especially from himself. Nevertheless, every time he pulled himself upstairs or clumped downstairs, the very air ached. He insisted on digging in the garden and turning the compost pile, even though Holy Bear yelled at him for a half an hour afterward, warning that he was going to do himself serious injury. He went out of his way to bring Maya things she'd left upstairs or downstairs until she became terrified of ever putting anything down for fear of forgetting it and causing him another trip. Madrone finally lost patience with him. They were all in the common room after dinner, and she was going over an old geological survey map of Big Sur, asking him if he knew which trails were still good and where they had disappeared. "Don't worry about it," he said. "I'll show you when we get there." "Bird," she said tensely, "I don't know how to say this to you, because I've said it 50 times already, and you haven't seemed to understand. So let me say it again in words of one syllable. You are not going. You no go. No vas a ir. You stay here. Aquí. Home. Comprendes? You don't have to be insulting, Madrone. It's my decision, and I've made it. I'm going. I have to go." "Hey, you're not alone here," Holy Bear said. "That's right," Sage agreed. "This is something that affects all of us. It's not a decision you get to make on your own." "I've made it," Bird said. "I blocked that decision," Madrone said. "You can't block me from doing something I need to do." "I can block me from having anything to do with it, Bird. What is the matter with you? Are you out of your mind? Haven't you noticed that you can barely make it down to the garden, let alone hike back down the coast range? It's not that I don't want you to come. Diosa, I'd give anything to have you along on this, if I thought you could do it. But you can't." "I did it. How the fuck do you think I got back here? Don't tell me I can't do it, because I did do it, and I feel a hell of a lot stronger now that I did than then." "You don't look stronger," Nita said. "I am stronger every day. You don't know my body feels like to me." "We know," all four of them said at once. "Bird, we are witches. We know things. It's our business. You know that. You can't hide pain around here any more than you can hide a decomposing rat from the dogs." "We smell it," Holly Bear said. "Pain doesn't bother me." The silence that followed this statement seemed to cackle with the comments everybody held back. Madrone walked out of the room. "Well, it doesn't," Bird said. The silence only deepened. Maya focused carefully on her knitting. Bird looked around for someone to give him reassurance, but they all had their eyes turned down and inward. The atmosphere was heavy. They all sensed that someone was about to get hurt. Madrone came back in, carrying her pack. Her cheeks were flushed and her lips were set. "Okay," she said. "You win. You can come. You can do anything. Mind over matter. I give up. Just one thing, though. I'd like you to show me how you're going to carry your pack." She held it out towards Bird, with the straps and the frames facing him. He looked at her and saw her eyes, hard as little black stones. Then he looked at the rest of them, but they held nothing out to him. "Sure," he said, shrugging his shoulders. Then he slipped his arm into the straps of the pack. Madrone let it go, and as the weight fell on him, his face turned ashy gray. He cinched the waist belt. Beads of sweat stood out on his forehead. "It'll be all right in a minute," he said, and shifted his weight as if he were trying to walk. Then his leg crumpled under him, and he collapsed on the floor with a soft, strangled cry. Instantly they were all around him, pulling the pack off and holding and stroking him and each other. "Are you hurt?" Sage asked. Bird was biting back tears. Maya wondered why he couldn't just let go and cry. Who taught him to be stoic? She asked, but no one answered. "You, Rio? His father? Not me. Not Bridget." "You bastards," he said. Madrone ran his hands over his hip. Sage rubbed his shoulders. Nita ran for an ice pack, and Holy Bear put his arms around Bird. "Just cry," he said. "Cry it out. You'll feel better." "I don't want to cry it out. I don't want you to comfort me. I just want to not be broken anymore." He did cry then. They were all crying. Maya in her corner and the others in their circle. "You healers, damn it! Heal me! Give me my body back! Give me my hands!" But all they could give him was the touch of their hands, their bodies. It wasn't enough. But it was something. Quietly Maya got up and left the room. Maya lay on her bed, her arms outstretched, holding her breath. Come on and get me, Death, she whispered. I want to go now. Fold your wings, you old bat, Johanna said, looking down on her with her own arms crossed over her chest. Who do you think you are, Jesus Christ? I was on a talk show with him once, Maya said. Remember? Back in 1999, he said he'd return for the new millennium. But he was disgusted with the world, so he went away again. Tell me, you should know now, was he the real Jesus? I'm not here to debate theology with you. Sit up, girl. You're not dead yet. I want to be. I can't bear to stick around and watch the sufferings of the young. Why not? Are they more fragile than we were? Hell no. These kids are tougher than those biscuits you used to make, the ones we called bullets. Anyway, this is no time to turn wimpy on me. You're still needed. I'm going on strike. Besides, I can't do anything. What can I do for Madrone except worry? What can I do for Bird? Leave him his own pain. Don't try to bear it for him. Come on, Maya, sit up and let me put my arms around you. Maya sat up. Her arms caressed her own shoulders as she rocked, cradled in the arms of the dead. We had our challenges and our suffering, Johanna said. Leave the young their turn. But their turn is so much harder than ours was. It is, Johanna. Don't pretend it's not. And that's not right. That's not what we worked for. What we worked for was to give them a turn at all. Given the way things were going when we were young, we should claim it as a victory that they're alive and still have a world to suffer in. Bird sat in the garden. The moon had caressed his sore back, but it was dripping down below the neighbor's roof line and the air was chilly. Still, he couldn't bring himself to move, to get up or go and face Madrone again, with her camping gear spread out all over her room and a look of determined kindness in her eyes. The cold creeping along his shoulder blades felt almost like a hand. If he closed his eyes, he saw Rio's face, and his hair and blue beard white in the starlight. I'm disappointed in you, Rio said. I thought you had more guts. Lay off me, will you? Bird said. Or try another tactic. That one won't fly. Believe me. Sorry, let me see where I was. Believe me, Rio, nobody in this world can accuse me of not having guts. I have nothing more to prove on that score. It's not your machismo I'm talking about. It's another kind of courage, and I'm not criticizing. Who am I to judge you? I just wish you had the courage to let yourself really feel your wounds. I'm doing it right now. Right now. I'm just sitting here feeling how my leg hurts and my back hurts and my fingers are stiff and heavy and nothing works right, okay? I can't go south of Madrone. I know that now. I can't play my music. I'm altogether fucked up and fairly useless, and I admit it to you. But those are not the wounds I'm talking about, Rio said. Listen, Bird, there's something that happens to you when you've been through the things other people haven't, when you've encountered possibilities of ugliness that they don't know about. We both know this, you and I, how it feels like you have to hold the pain for them, to contain it somehow, and keep from spilling it out. That's why there's so much I can't talk about, Bird said. I'm trying to see how I got, okay. My battery is low on my computer. Rio shook his head. It doesn't work that way, Bird. It just eats away at you from the inside. It's hurting you. What can I do? You know what you've got to do. The instinct is too close, but you've got to open. I don't know how. You know, first open your mouth. Then you'll be able to open your heart again. Bird approached Madrone the next day, and she was carrying an armload of herbs from the garden. Can I talk to you? Sure. Let me put these down. She placed them in the sink and followed him into his room, sitting beside him on the bed. He took a deep breath and began. I know I've been an asshole, Madrone. I'm sorry. You're the one who needs help right now, and I'm going to try to give you all the help I can. She took his hands and held them in hers. He was suddenly so dear to her. She would have given anything for the power to heal all his wounds instantly. Maybe Lily was right. Maybe she was not content with her limitations. Bird, you can get better, you know. I mean, you can at least improve, but you've got to take care of yourself. Give your body a chance to heal. There's exercises I can show you for your back, and Lou could do acupuncture for you. Maybe you should talk to Sam again, too. Let him go ahead and reset that hip. She could feel him starting to close, but then he took a deep breath, exhaled, and smiled at her. Okay, I'll think about it. I just hate to be immobilized in a cast when the steward's armies march in. Maybe you'll be out of the cast by then. You'd be surprised how soon Sam can get you walking, at least on crutches. Madrone heard the urging in her own voice, and it sounded like whining, pleading. Wrong. She was not meeting him in what he had come to offer. But she couldn't help herself. And then whatever comes down, you'd be better prepared to deal with it. We're talking about my shit again, Bird said. I want to know what you need that I can give you. Information. I'll give you all I have. He wrapped his arms around her and held her. Is that all? He had opened to her, and she could do no less for him. I'm scared. I'm terrified. How do I do something I'm scared to do? He held her tight, wondering what words of reassurance to say when he feared for her so much himself. I'm scared to do the things you've done and go where you've been, Madrone said, and I'm scared to come back broken. There it was, he thought, the unspeakable thing that I felt hiding behind her kindness. She pities me, and she is afraid of becoming like me. No wonder I couldn't open up to her. But it's all out now. We've just got to let it go. I can't tell you everything's going to be all right, because that would be a lie, Bird said. I don't know how it will be. I don't want you to tell me that. I want you to tell me something about fear. Everybody in this family is always so fucking brave. I feel like a misfit. Bird laughed and held her tighter. No, love, you're not a misfit, and I, for one, am not that brave. If I had known what was going to happen, I can't say I would have gone. I was young and dumb and thought I was just going to die, which seemed romantic and inevitable if you remember the times. Everyone was dying. Todo el mundo. It seemed that way. All I can say is it's not that the fear goes away, but that it changes. When something really bad is happening, it's just what's happening. So you face it, because in the moment, you don't really have any choice. I guess I know that, Madrone said. It's like going through a difficult birth. You can't stop it, so you just do it. But it's now, thinking about it beforehand, that's so hard. Weren't you scared before you went away? I was terrified. I don't want to die, Madrone said. I wish you were going with me. I'm scared of being alone. I'll be with you, in spirit, as we like to say. Bird tightened his arm around her and bent his head low. Not a moment of any day will go by when some part of me won't be with you. I know. They clung together, and his body felt so sweet against hers that she didn't know how she could ever bring herself to let go. Finally he pulled back, kissing her lightly on the forehead. I want to give you something to take with you, he said, and I've thought and thought about it. Something you couldn't lose. Something nobody can take from you. So I've made you a little song. Bird! I can't really play it for you, but come here. He took her hand and led her over to the bench beside the upright piano, which took up one wall. Sit here and let me sing it. She sat beside him on the bench, knowing what this gift cost him. Awkwardly his hands picked out a few chords, a halting melody. He sang, his voice husky but still the true resonant voice that she remembered. The song he had made for her was a little piece of his own music, the music that came to him when he was almost dead, and brought him back to life, the music that every now and then he had given on his own hands the power to heal. He could never do it justice, even when His hands had been whole and in the prime of their skill. At most, he could have played an echo of what he heard in his mind. And now all he could do was hint at the melody with stumbling notes and sing a little of it without words. He felt embarrassed, but when he stopped, she shook her head. "Don't stop, bird. It's beautiful." He could see in her face that she was moved. He hoped not just